Hello, I'm Ash Cash. Welcome to Wealthy Sis Network. On today's show, we're going to be talking about various topics like, building your own business, using PR, how to accessorize the right outfit, and also, more of our women's healthcare on today's show. We're talking about building our own business. I feel like nowadays every millennial has 3 jobs and no health insurance. Every week I have that same conversation with my boss, and he tells me, he's like, oh, this week we can only have you work for 29.5 hours. And I'm just like, that's a very specific amount. And he's just like, well, I want you to have a good work-life balance. Here's some pizza. Those pizzas are really good. And on top of that, trying to do a side hustle and your main job, you're trying to advertise, get out there. People have some very crazy, PR stunts that they can do. I remember a few years ago, a lot of people were doing that ALS challenge with the ice bucket. That was fun. But I feel like nowadays they've just rebranded that as a cold plunge and somehow made us feel like that was something new. So that's a really great time. On top of that, getting out there, advertising yourself, you always want to be able to accessorize the right outfit. And honestly, you always want to try to budget that. But according to my girl math, if you put it on your TJ Maxx credit card, it costs exactly $0. Using girl math, in other ways can make anything cost $0 if you know how to deduct it right. You need a new work outfit. That's $0 in according to girl math because you're investing in your future. You want to get some running shoes even though you've never ran a day in your life. That's $0 according to girl math. You're investing in your health. It's a gift. Girl math, it's $0. You don't even need to count because you're giving back to your community. Speaking of your community, we always want to try to build our community as part of our side hustles. But sometimes I have a problem trying to figure out how to build a community when I can barely build my IKEA dining table at this point. But going into that, everything that we want to invest in our future. Later on, we also have to, we have to deal with our healthcare as women. So later on, we'll be going through a birthing plan, something that I have never had to deal with. I don't know if I could ever put together a birthing plan when I can barely plan my next meal. But I hope you guys are ready for the show and all our interesting topics. Thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Ash Cat.